Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice, because today I'm going to be reviewing the book In Nnightfall, written by Suzanne Young. I am normally not one to read what is considered YA literature. I'm not saying it's bad, but usually it's not my thing. The reason I got this book, the reason I found out about this book is I was perusing Facebook, as I do sometimes when I'm bored, and I saw some sort of a clickbait post about an author who had posted pictures of her signing where there was nobody there. And I'm sure that would be kind of devastating. I mean, you take all this time to, set up a signing and nobody's there. And the thing on the article was, that she got a whole boatload of support from other authors saying, hey, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes, people just don't show up. And it was like, okay, it made her feel better. But in the article, they described the plot of the book, which is basically what they said. They said it was a cross between the Lost Boys and Buffy. And I thought, hey, that sounds interesting. I love the Lost Boys. It's probably one of my, not only one of my favorite vampire movies, if not the favorite vampire movies, but one of my favorite movies altogether. And I've seen some Buffy, so I thought, why not get the book and see if it's interesting? And let me give you a breakdown of the book. It says, in Nnightfall, there's one rule. Always be home by dark. It says Theo and her brother, Marco, threw the biggest party of the year and got caught. Their punishment? Leave Arizona to spend the summer with their grandmother in the rainy beachside town of Nnightfall, Oregon. Population 846 souls. The small town is cute when it's not raining, but their grandmother is superstitious and strangely antisocial. Upon their arrival, she lays out the one house rule: always be home before dark. But Theo and Marco are determined to make the most of their summer, and on their first day, they meet the enigmatic Minnow and her friends. Beautiful and charismatic, the girls have a magnetic pull that Theo and her brother can't resist. But Minnow and her friends are far from what they appear. There's a little bit more. But okay, so if you see these three girls on the front, those are Minnow and her friends. Minnow is the one in the center. And speaking of the Lost Boys, the little dark-haired one, right here, she sort of reminds me of Jamie Curtis from the Lost Boys. Now, I can see where they made the connection with the Lost Boys. Okay, because in the Lost Boys you have the divorced mother and her two sons, post-divorce, moving to what was it, Santa Clara, to move in with her father to get back on their feet, and the two boys they meet this group, this gang, and this girl. The gang turns out to be vampires, and boom. Okay, so there's the grandfather nut. This one, it is a divorced father and a boy and a girl, and they move to Oregon to move in with, or to visit his mother in the town that he grew up in. And they come across this group of kids who turn out to be vampires. So, yeah, I can sort of see, what they're saying. There's a connection. In 1987, when The Lost Boys came out, or after it came out and there was a big success, there was talk of a sequel coming out called The Lost Girls, where it was going to be a gang of girls as opposed to the guys in Lost Boys. And that never came about. I would have liked to have seen it, but it never came about. So this could actually be, I guess, kind of what that movie would have been like. And, I guess the whole, Buffy thing, female-centric character, females, central character fighting the supernatural. So I guess that, I'm not 100% sure where the Buffy thing came in, other than maybe possibly that. But it's not a bad thing. But one thing I really did like, well, there's a lot of things I liked about this book. All the characters were sort of fully, well, the three central characters, the father, four central characters, the father, the two teens, and to a lesser extent, the grandmother, are kind of really fully developed. They, each have their own distinct personalities. They have, you don't really know the motivations of their father all that much. But, since Theo, the girl, is the one who is telling the story, you get her motivations behind there. And she's really good friends. She knows her brother really well. So she, knows him well enough to get a good idea of what his motivations are. And so, and the decisions they make in there aren't just kind of a whim. And, it's been such a long time since I was a teenager, and never had to go through having, parents of a divorce. So I didn't have to deal with that, but the decisions seemed right for someone, that age and under, those conditions. I mean, she was really mad at her mother for actions that her mother did, even though she knew that it wasn't, her mom wasn't being malicious. So there's human emotions in there, and she's that's only the little you know bone of contention between her and her brothers, because her brother was more saying, hey, you need to talk to mom and all that. So there was some really good, you know, angsty things going on, some human things going on there. And you, uh, what is it? You understand when they get there the desire to kind of fit in. Because, once he doesn't really want to be there, it's kind of a punishment. But, as a teenager, you're not going to want to just sit around in a town you don't know about for a month, however long you're going to be there, and not do anything. You're going to want to go out. You're going to want to meet people. You're going to want to make friends. And when you do meet some people, you're like, hey, let's try this out. So the development in that was very well done. And you can sort of understand the whole kind of, okay, this seems a little strange. Kind of bargaining, telling yourself, this seems weird, but it's probably just this, or it's probably just that. Because it just doesn't seem, the back of your head is saying, hey, dude, really, seriously, what, whiskey tanker, foxtrot, sunshine. But you're like, no, because you're wanting to fit in. And so the alarm bells, you're just kind of pushing them away a little bit. So that's really kind of understandable. I really enjoyed this book, and it moved at a good pace. And, the town seemed a little odd just because, when you get there, you're not used to it. So you're looking at it from the outsider's point of view and like, oh, that's strange, because here I am from some big city in Arizona and coming to this little tiny town in Oregon. You're like, hey, with not even 850 people, that's going to be a big shock. So things are going to be a little weird. So you're kind of excusing things for the first little bit because it does look a little weird. And then when you finally start realizing that stuff is kind of fucked, you realize that maybe I'm not overreacting, and then it's too late. I thought this was a very well done book. Written at a good pace. Characters are kind of understandable. Even the grandma, who was kind of a little weird. Well, a lot weird. You sort of get to understand her by midway through the book, and she's like, okay, maybe she's not that much of a weird person. She's only, she's kind of gruff, but she's looking out for her kids, her son and her grandkids. I recommend this book. I mean, if you're into, it's not really horror in the same way that Lost Boys wasn't technically horror. This isn't either, but it's suspenseful. It's it's got some funny moments to it. It's got some really kind of tense moments. Got some really wonderful relationships in there, and the ending is very satisfactorily done. All wrapped up in a nice, all plot lines are come to an end. There's no hanging plot lines in there that I remember having. notice that there's no, there might have been, but if there was, I didn't notice. So, I'm going to give this a 4.75 out of 5 and just say pick it up. It's a good read over, 2 or 3 days, depending on, how long you want to sit there and read. And get it, because it's enjoyable and you'll have a good time. So it is In Nnightfall by Suzanne Young. It is $12.99, and it is let's see about what does that say? Del Corte Press. And it's got a 2023 publishing date, copyright date. So anyway, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on this book, let you know what I thought. So let me know in the comments below whether or not you read it, what you thought of it, and like, subscribe, most of all, enjoy your horror books.